Hi y'all, today we're going to be designing an ecosystem with a critter of your choice. Let's jump in.
The materials you're going to need to put this together are, of course, our printout, some glue, and a pair of scissors for a couple of the cutting out parts that we're going to need to do. Coloring materials are totally up to you, but you definitely want to decorate this background a little bit. The top section that you see here, these three squares, are going to be the kind of background slash sky of your environment, and this part down here is going to be the floor or the ground. So I decided to do a grizzly bear for my animal. I like the shape of bears, but I can't always remember what they look like, so it's nice to be able to look up a picture of your animal as inspiration. A cartoon of the animal is also good if you're into drawing things a little bit more shape and structure, but I'm just going to kind of wing it looking at this guy. I'm not going to make the drawing of the bear too big because I do want this to fit inside of our little paper environment that we're drawing for him. So we're just gonna kind of give him a little bit of a doodle. I'm imagining that like he's sitting on the ground, so he's got his like this bottom part of him flat. That's gonna be important for when we do our next part of our animal. Give him some claws. Bears have this funny little like snout that's kind of a rectangle square shape that we can see right there. And this guy looks kind of silly, so I'm gonna give him a cute face. Here is Bear. Now, the way that we turn one of these little drawings into something that can stand inside of our diorama is if we give it a little bit of support underneath. I'm gonna draw a rectangle underneath my bear, kind of like if he's sitting on a platform, and this is going to be the tab that I'm gonna use to put it in my environment and have it stand up. To help with that, I'm gonna take this tab, which is about the length of the animal total, and I'm going to draw a line up the middle of it so that one of these flaps can fold forward, the other flap can fold back. Now, once you have your animal colored and ready to go, if your drawing seems kind of like difficult to cut out, I would recommend doing a bubble cut where we're going to give ourselves a little bit of a space around our animal. Imagining, I don't know, kind of like when you get a sticker and it has like that little white background on it. Just to make our cutting out job a little easier. All of our drawings, if you made your own custom animal, are going to be kind of different. So no worries there if we have to get a little creative on this part. Alright, so I made kind of like a little bubble. Now with my scissors, I can go in and I can get much closer to where my rectangle underneath is supposed to be. I'm gonna now get closer to my bear as well, as close as I can to my drawing. It's okay if we have a little bit of that gap around it still. I think it'll still go in our environment and feel like it fits right in. If any part of your drawing feels difficult to cut out, like you just made like a really weird space and it's hard for you to turn your scissors, my recommendation is not to make yourself turn your scissor, but remove your scissors and take your drawing and then just go in a different angle and make smaller cuts to then get into those hard to reach places. A lot of those are going to be like around like the limbs of the animal, and that'll give you a nice little cutout. Before we finish up, you'll remember that line that we drew in the very middle of our little tabs here. I'm going to snip it, and these little tabs now, I have two. One of them is going to get folded forward, and the other one is going to get folded back. Just like that. One forward, one back. And this is going to help our animal stand real nice inside of our environment.
Grizzly bears can actually live in lots of different environments, but I chose to put it in a mountainous area with a forest. They like to eat both plants and animals, and I drew a river with fish, one of their preferred foods.
We're back to our now full colored environment. You'll notice that I didn't draw anything or color anything here and here. That's because we're going to be cutting out these two sections right here, the dotted lines that you see. And then here we're going to be adding a little bit of glue to then put together our environment. Let's start off by cutting out the area that we need to. Grab my paper, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to snip right along the dotted lines. Instead of turning my scissors here, I'm actually just going to take my scissors out and start at the bottom, cutting out this wedge of paper. Ta-da! Then I'm going to go over to the other side and do the same. All right. So we've got this situation happening now. Now what we're going to do is on the black lines that you see that go across our environment and up and down, we're going to be folding on those lines. I'm going to fold this part over, kind of like I'm closing a book. I like to match the edges of the very top parts of my paper here so that when I crease it, it can be as like straight up and down as possible. So I just creased it there, I unfolded it, and now it's kind of opening and closing like a book. I'm going to do the same to this side. Just like that. So now we're starting to see how this can kind of look like a little pop-up environment. This bottom part here, I'm going to also fold inward like this, right on that horizon, and then folding it back down. And now the last part that I need to fold before we start gluing are our little triangles here. Again, all of these black lines, we're kind of folding inward like we're closing a book. I'm going to fold this up, and I'm going to, again, look at this edge and line it up. Crease, pull down, go over to this one, crease, pull down. Our environment is now starting to want to stand up. And what ultimately we're going to do is that we're going to close it up like this with a little bit of glue on the tabs, squeeze it real nice, and that will create our little box environment. So I'm going to be using a little bit of paste here, a glue stick. I'm going to try and get it on all the corners of my little tab here. Then I'm going to pick this up, fold it until I can't see that little glue triangle anymore, making a little like corner box angle here. And then I'm gonna rub and press to make sure that all of that triangle sticks to the underside. This is what it kind of looks like from under there. You can see very vaguely our little triangle tab here. This one is now next to be glued. I'm gonna get my glue. Make sure that this also has plenty on there. And then you're gonna fold this over and underneath it. Rub that triangle. And you might have to like kind of crease and push your box in at this point. But that should give you now the stage, the environment for your animal to hang out in. So for my bear that I have here, those two little tabs, like I mentioned, are going to be what lets him stand up inside of the environment. Here's like a bird's eye POV. Each one of these tabs, one facing forward and one facing back, is going to help us make sure that it stands. If you'd rather just kind of like use this as like a little play set and be able to move your animal around, that's also fine. But if you kind of want to have this be like a standalone show off kind of piece, let's go ahead and glue our animal inside. So I'm going to take my bear and I'm going to make sure again that one of these flaps goes to the front and one of these flaps goes to the back. I'm going to get my glue stick and I'm going to put a little bit of glue just on the undersides of these flaps. One on one side, one on the other. And then I'm going to take my environment and place my animal inside. Maybe like don't press down just yet in case you want to make sure that you get it in the right spot. And then just rub those two spots to make sure it sticks. Prop your animal the way up that you like, and there you have it. We have our very quick and simple little environment that we have, and our animal as a 3D part of our picture. What you can also do is cut out more things to kind of like help decorate your space. You could maybe put some plants or some rocks in front of the bear or your animal of choice. You could even like kind of go further and add some stuff onto the back. The more kind of like layers that you have to this, the more three-dimensional and deep it's going to look. But if you were able to at least set up your animal to show off inside of its environment, then you have done a great job. This could make a great decoration for a room. It can also be a great way to show off your knowledge at school if you have a kind of like arts and craft project that is focused on animals and their environments. The possibilities are kind of all over the place. I hope you enjoy, everybody, and I'll see you next time.